Good morning, children. Today we are going to see History Chapter 8, Civilizing the Native, Educating the Nation. Okay? See, children, in this chapter we will study the implication of British rule on the lives of Indian students and how some of the ideas of system of education that we have today evolved over the last 200 years. Okay, so existing our educational system evolved, or how it evolved over the last 200 years. Now we are going to see about this only. Okay, see, children, the British East India Company came to India for trade, right? Then gradually the company concentrated to capture the territories, and at last they wanted to consolidate their political hold over Indian subcontinent, right? So that initially they didn't interfere in the existing system of education, but after some time the British administrators along with many other social groups felt that the need for a fundamentally different kind of education. So the British in India established their control over the entire country, but their task was not completed with it. What did they feel? They felt that they had a cultural mission. They had to civilize the natives by giving them proper education and by changing their customs and values. So என்ன நினைச்சாங்க, நேட்டிவ் பீப்புளை சிவிலைஸ் ஆக்கணும் அப்படின்னா அவங்களுக்கு ஒரு ப்ராப்பர் எஜுகேஷன் நீட். ஸோ தென் ஒன்லி அவங்களுடைய கஸ்டம்ஸ் அண்ட் வேல்யூஸை சேஞ்ச் பண்ண முடியும்னு ஹூ பிலீவ்ட் that? The British believed, right? So in the process of this inquiry we will also see how Indians reacted to British ideas and how they developed their own views about how Indians were to be educated. Okay, children. So in the 18th century, a group of British thinkers strongly felt that Indians should be taught about their ancient culture and civilization. Those who held this view were called Orientalists. So you should understand the meaning of Orientalist. It is nothing but those who studied language and culture of Asia. Okay, so Asian culture and language யார் ஒருத்தர் வியூ பண்ணுறாங்களோ படிக்கிறாங்களோ அவங்களோட நேம் ஓரியண்டலிஸ்ட். ஸோ those who held this view were called Orientalists. So what do you mean by Orientalist? Those who studied language and culture of Asia. ஏஷியாவை பற்றி, ஏஷியாவுடைய லாங்குவேஜ் அண்ட் கல்ச்சரை பற்றி யாரெல்லாம் படிக்கிறாங்களோ they are called Orientalist. Okay, so a prominent Orientalist, William Jones, came to Calcutta in 1783. Actually, he had an appointment as a junior judge at the Supreme Court that the company had set up. So Supreme Court oda junior judge yaar appoint pannanga? William Jones. Okay, so he came to Calcutta. In addition to being an expert in law, Jones was a linguist. So William Jones was a linguist. What do you mean by linguist, children? Linguist means someone who knows and studies several languages. Someone who experts in several languages are called linguist. Okay, so William Jones was a linguist. In fact, he had studied Greek, Latin, French and English, so that he was a linguist. Then he knew Arabic and had also learnt Persian. So his interest in Orient languages made him learn Sanskrit in Calcutta. So ஏஷியன் கான்டினென்ட்டில் இருக்கிற மெனி லாங்குவேஜஸை கற்றுக்கணுங்கிற இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் அவருக்கு இருந்தது. அரபிக் கற்றுட்டாரு, பர்ஷியன் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் எடுத்து கற்றுட்டாரு, அண்ட் ஆல்சோ சான்ஸ்கிரிட். So William Jones had a deep respect for ancient cultures both of India and the West. So he had a deep, அது மேலே ரொம்ப மரியாதை வச்சுருந்தார், both whether India and West. In fact, he studied ancient texts and translated many of them so that others could read it too. So, what he thought, if he translated it into Oriental languages, many of them can read. So that at Calcutta, William Jones began spending many hours a day with Pandits who taught him the subtitles of Sanskrit language, grammar, and poetry. Okay, so soon he was studying ancient Indian texts on law, philosophy, religion, politics, morality, arithmetic, medicine, and the other sciences. So, through the learning of Sanskrit and Arabic, he was studying ancient Indian texts, நிறைய books, Indian literatures, Indian philosophy, Indian religion பற்றியும், politics, இந்தியாவுடைய politics, then morality, arithmetic, medicine and the other sciences. So, William Jones discovered that his interests were shared by many British officials living in Calcutta at that time. So, Englishmen like Henry Thomas Colebrooke and Nathaniel Halhed were also busy discovering the ancient Indian heritage, mastering Indian languages and translating Sanskrit and Persian works into English. Okay. In fact, Warren Hastings, he was the first Governor General of India, right? Then Nathaniel Halhed, Thomas Holybrooke and Jonathan Duncan, they were the renowned Orientalists in India because they concentrated more to discover the Indian heritage, Indian literary works, etc. So that in fact, Nathaniel Halhed translated the Hindu legal code into English. So, this was called a code of Gentoo laws. In fact, in the year 1776, it was published. So, in 1781, Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of India, established the Calcutta Madrasa, which taught Islamic law and the Arabic and the Persian languages. So, in this way, many Orientalists started to discover our Indian literary works and philosophy, law, etc. In the meantime, William Jones and Nathaniel Halhed, Thomas Holybrooke and Nathaniel Halhed were joined together and set up the Asiatic Society of Bengal. So, William Jones set up Asiatic Society of Bengal with the help of Nathaniel Halhed and Thomas Holybrooke. Okay, so who set up Asiatic Society of Bengal? William Jones. Okay, who were the renowned personalities to help William Jones? Who were they? Henry Thomas Holybrooke and Nathaniel Halhed. Okay, and also they started a journal called Asiatic Researchers. Okay, in fact, they thought that these Orientalists thought that Indian civilization had attained its glory in the ancient past but had subsequently declined. What they thought, already இந்தியாவுடைய சிவிலைசேஷன் ரொம்ப க்ளோரியஸாக இருந்தது, பட் சப்சிக்வெண்ட்டாக அது கொஞ்சமாக டிக்ளைன் ஆயிடுச்சு. ஸோ இன் ஆர்டர் டு அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் இந்தியா, இட் வாஸ் necessary to discover the sacred and legal texts that were produced in the ancient period. For only those texts could reveal the real ideas and laws of the Hindus and Muslims, and only a new study of these texts could form the basis of future development in India. So, why did William Jones feel the need to study Indian history, philosophy and law? William Jones felt the need to study Indian history, philosophy and law because only these texts could reveal the real ideas of the laws of the Hindus and Muslims. ஓகே, இதை அந்த ரியல் ஐடியாஸை கண்டுபிடிக்கணும் அப்படின்னா இந்த ஏன்ஷியன்ட் டெக்ஸ்ட்டை நம்ம டிஸ்கவர் பண்ணணும். தென் only a new study of these texts could form the basis of future development in India. Okay, because already they thought that Indian civilization had attained glory in the ancient past, but had subsequently declined. So why it happened? And they wanted to discover the sacred and legal texts. So they thought that these texts only produced the real ideas and laws of the Hindus and Muslims. Got it? Say simply we can say, yeah, the Orientalist என்ன நினச்சாங்கன்னா இந்தியாவோட க்ளோரியஸ் பாஸ்ட்டை திருப்பியும் ரீட்டைன் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னா இந்தியாவுடைய புனித நூல்கள், நிறைய லிட்ரரி ஒர்க்ஸ், இது எல்லாத்தையும் நிறைய படித்து அந்த டெக்ஸ்ட்டை கண்டுபிடிச்சா மட்டும்தான் ரியலாகவே ஹிந்துஸ் அண்ட் முஸ்லீம்ஸோடைய அவங்களுடைய கஸ்டம்ஸ் என்ன, அவங்களோட வேல்யூஸ் என்ன அப்படிங்கிறத தெரிஞ்சுக்க முடியும், அவங்கள லா பற்றி தெரிஞ்சுக்க முடியும். ஸோ ஃபஸ்ட்டு நம்ம அவங்கள பற்றி தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுக்காக அவங்களுடைய டெக்ஸ்ட், அந்த லிட்ரரி ஒர்க்ஸை ஃபஸ்ட்டு படிக்கணும் அப்படிங்கிறது தான் அவங்களுடைய ஃபஸ்ட் மோட்டிவாக இருந்துச்சு. Got it? So, influenced by these Orientalists, who were they? William Jones, Nathaniel Halhed, then Thomas Holybrook, right? These Orientalists influenced many company officials and argued that the British should promote Indian education rather than Western learning. So, the Orientalists என்ன டிமாண்ட் பண்ணாங்க? We should promote Indian education rather than Western learning. மேற்கத்திய கல்வியை தவிர அதை ப்ரொமோட் பண்ணுறதை விட இந்தியன் ஏன்ஷியன்ட் எஜுகேஷன் சிஸ்டத்தையே நம்ம ப்ரொமோட் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. ஸோ இந்தியன்ஸ் should be taught what they were already familiar with and not the subjects that were aligned to them. ஸோ அவங்க எதில் ஃபெமிலியராக இருக்காங்களோ அதையே டீச் பண்ணணும் அப்படின்றாங்க. தென் institutions should be set up to encourage the study of ancient Indian texts, and Indians should be taught Sanskrit and Persian literature and poetry. Okay, so they thought that it will also help the British to win a place in the hearts of the natives and earn their respect. So not only to rediscover the Indian text, but also it will help the British to win a place in natives' heart and earn their respect. So the study of the ancient Indian texts could form the basis of future development in India. So these are the objects in their mind, and a madrasa was set up in Calcutta in 1781 to promote the study of Arabic, Persian and Islamic law. At the same time, the Hindu college was established in Banaras in 1791 in order to encourage the study of ancient Sanskrit texts, and also it would be useful for the administration of the country. Got it? So, in order to promote Arabic and Persian language education, they set up madrasa in the year 1781. They set up madrasa in Calcutta. At the same time, in which year the Hindu college was established in Banaras, 1791. For what purpose? To encourage the study of ancient Sanskrit texts. Got it? So you know the meaning of madrasa, I hope, right? Because this is an Arabic word for a place of learning, like any type of school or college. Got it? So children, regarding William Jones, like Orientalists, you should understand the meaning of Orientalists. Who are known as Orientalists? Those who study language and culture of Asia, right? Then linguist means someone who knows and studies several languages. Got it? And also one more word I want to tell you, the term you should understand, vernacular. See, vernacular means nothing but it is a local, it refers as a local language or dialect. வட்டார மொழி வழக்குன்னு சொல்லுவோம்ல தமிழ், அந்தந்த மொழி வழக்கில் அந்தந்த ஏரியாவில் பேசுகிற மொழி வழக்கு, அதுதான் வெர்னாக்குலர். ஓகே, ஸோ in what purpose the madrasa was set up in Calcutta? In order to promote the study of Arabic, Persian and Islamic law, right? So the madrasa was set up in Calcutta in the year 1781, right? So this is the madrasa where the Arabic, Persian and Islamic law are taught. Okay, see children, one more word I'll tell you. The word is munshi. What it means? Munshi means a person who can read, write and teach Persian. Okay, so they are working in that madrasas to teach Islamic law and Persian and Islamic law. Okay, see children, from the early 19th century, many British officials like James Mill, Thomas Bovington Macaulay and other Anglicists means those who believed in teaching English and Western scientific ideas, they are known as Anglicists. But they opposed vernacular languages and vernacular language teaching and also Oriental teaching. Because Orientalists, in fact they attacked the Orientalists because they said that the knowledge of the East was full of errors. So what did they say? They began to criticize the Orientalists' vision of learning. So other company officials did not approve the ideas of the Orientalists. In fact they began to criticize the Orientalist vision of learning. So they said that the knowledge of the East was full of errors and unscientific thought. So they saw Eastern literature as non-serious and light-hearted. So they argued that it was wrong on a part of the British to spend so much effort in encouraging the study of Arabic and Sanskrit language and literature. So what Anglicists strongly believed? They believed that the British government in India should stop wasting public money in promoting Oriental learning. Okay, because they said that it was full of errors and it was of no practical use. So to make the education system in India useful to the needs of the British, Lord Macaulay was appointed to look into the matter. Okay, ஸோ என்ன பண்ணுறாங்க, இந்த மாதிரி ஓரியண்டல் லேர்னிங்க்கு அன்னெசரியாக மணியை வேஸ்ட் பண்ணாமல் வெஸ்டர்ன் எஜுகேஷன் சிஸ்டத்தை கொண்டு வரணும்னு சொல்லிட்டு இந்த ஆங்கிலிசிஸ்ட், அதாவது த சப்போர்ட்டர்ஸ் ஆஃப் வெஸ்டர்ன் எஜுகேஷன், வெஸ்டர்ன் சயின்டிஃபிக் ஐடியாஸ், தே ஸ்ட்ராங்லி அப்போஸ்ட் ஓரியண்டலிஸ்ட். ஓரியண்டலிஸ்டோடைய அட்டிடியூட், அவங்களுடைய வியூ என்னது? டு ப்ரமோட் இந்தியன் லாங்குவேஜஸ், டு ப்ரமோட் இந்தியன் எஜுகேஷன், vernacular education. But Anglicist view என்னது? They support the Western education, Western scientific ideas and the teaching should be in English. Okay, so this is the difference between Orientalists and Anglicists. Anglicists means who opposed Oriental education. Basically they supported the Western scientific ideas, especially teaching should be in English. Got it? So far we have discussed about two members who strongly opposed Orientalists. Who were they? James Mill and Thomas Bovington Macaulay. Isn't it? Yes. In fact, Lord Macaulay, Thomas Bovington Macaulay said that a single shelf of a good European library was worth the whole native literature of India and Arabia. ஸோ அவர் என்ன சொல்கிறாரு, சிங்கிள் ஷெல்ஃப் நம்மளுடைய யூரோப்பியன் லைப்ரரி, அது ஹோல் லிட்ரேச்சர் ஆஃப் இந்தியா அரேபியன் லிட்ரேச்சர் விட ரொம்ப ஒர்த்து அப்படிங்கிறார். ஸோ அவருடைய வியூ என்னது, இந்தியன் லிட்ரேச்சரில் ஒன்றுமே இல்லை, நம்மளோட ஒரு சிங்கிள் ஷெல்ஃப் போதும் இவங்களெல்லாம் சிவிலைஸ்டு பீப்புள் ஆக்கிறதுக்கு, அந்தளவுக்கு நாலேஜபிளான லிட்ரரி ஒர்க்ஸ் எல்லாம் நம்மளோடதுல தான் இருக்குங்கிறது வியூ யாருடையது, மெக்காலேவுடைய வியூ. ஸோ he urged that the British government in India stop wasting public money in promoting Oriental learning. Okay, so with great energy and passion, Macaulay emphasized the need to teach the English language. So he felt that the knowledge of English would allow Indians to read some of the finest literature the world had produced, and also it would make them aware of the developments in Western science and philosophy. So teaching of English could thus be a way of civilizing people, changing their taste, values and culture. These are the statements were given by Thomas Bovingdon Macaulay. Okay, because he insisted Western system of education. Okay, அவர் என்ன சொல்கிறாரு, இங்கிலீஷ் கற்றுக்கிறதுனால, இங்கிலீஷ் லாங்குவேஜ் தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறதுனால வேர்ல்டில் இருக்கிற நிறைய லிட்ரரி ஒர்க்ஸ் அவங்களாம் தெரிஞ்சுக்க முடியும், படிக்க முடியும். ஸோ தட் அவங்களோட கஸ்டம்ஸ், அவங்களோட வேல்யூ, அவங்களோட டேஸ்ட் இது எல்லாமே மாறும். நிறைய வெஸ்டர்ன் சயின்டிஃபிக் ஐடியாஸ் எல்லாம் அவங்களுடைய இட் வுட் என்கரேஜ் ரேஷ்னல் திங்கிங் அண்ட் சயின்டிஃபிக் ரிசர்ச் அப்படிங்கிறதெல்லாம் மெக்காலேவுடைய வியூ. ஸோ அவருடைய அல்டிமேட் வியூ என்னென்னா, teaching of English would civilize the native people and change their taste, values and culture. Okay, so following Macaulay's minute, the English Education Act of 1835 was introduced. So in which year English Education Act was introduced? In the year 1835. Okay, so according to this act, English was the medium of instruction for higher education, and to stop the promotion of Oriental institutions like the Calcutta Madrasa and Banaras Sanskrit College. Okay, already we have seen in order to promote Arabic and Persian works, Calcutta Madrasa was set up, and also in order to promote Indian sacred literary works and Sanskrit literature, the Banaras Sanskrit College was set up, right? So these institutions were seen as temple of darkness that were falling of themselves into decay. So they said that temples of darkness, அது வந்து ஒரு டார்க்கானது, அது அவங்க மேலேயே விழப்போகிறது அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு எதுக்கான இது கிரிட்டிக்காக இருந்தது, சான்ஸ்கிரிட் பனாரஸ் சான்ஸ்கிரிட் காலேஜஸ்க்கும் இந்த கல்கத்தா மதரசாக்கும். So English textbooks now began to be produced for schools. So இப்போ இருந்து என்ன ஆகுது, after this English Education Act of 1835, English textbooks began to be produced for schools. Okay, and also this English Education Act abolished Persian as court language, replacing it with English. Okay, so to encourage the use of English language books were distributed free or at very low prices all over India. Okay, see children, in 1854 the Court of Directors of the East India Company, we know very well East India Company was a trading company. Generally if company is there, it has many directors, right? So like that, the Court of Directors of the East India Company in London sent an educational dispatch to the Governor General in India, issued by Sir Charles Wood, the President of the Board of Control of the company. So simply, Sir Charles Wood was the President of the Board of Control of the East India Company, issued this dispatch. Dispatch means Arike. So Charles Wood and Arike. You know children, that time who was the Governor General of India? Lord Dalhousie. Okay, so this is famous as the Wood's Dispatch, also known as the Magna Carta of Indian Education. It means it was an important landmark in the history of education in modern India. So, this Wood's Dispatch was an important landmark in the history of education in modern India. Okay, because from hereafter the English education will be introduced, and some of the recommendations were followed by the British East India Company. Okay, so let us discuss about the Wood's Dispatch. Children, the English East India Company concentrated and focused Western education to civilize natives. Along with that, what they thought, through this education, through this Western education, the taste and customs of the natives will be changed. So their desires and tastes will be changed. So at last, what would happen? It creates a demand for British goods. They believed that, right? So that for Indians would begin to appreciate and buy things that were produced in Europe. So education for in commerce aspect, they introduced Western education. Okay. Then Wood's Dispatch also argued that European learning would improve the moral character of Indians. So here also Wood's Dispatch supported the Western education, not Orientalist. Okay. And they thought that the Western education would also make Indians see the importance of developing countries' resources. So Indians needed to adapt European ways of life because this would change their tastes and desires and create a demand for British goods. And also Wood's Dispatch further argued that European learning would improve the moral character of the people of India, and also it would make them honest and reliable, and thus supply trusted civil servants to the company. Civil servants na company level, the office IAS officers, civil servants, administrative officers allam. Okay, and the dispatch strongly criticized the literature of the East because it was full of errors and unable to instill in people a sense of duty and a commitment to work. ஸோ அந்த ஃபுல் ஆஃப் எரர்ஸ் இருக்கிறதுனால அவங்களுக்கு அந்த ஒரு டெடிக்கேஷன், ஒரு ஒர்க்கு மேலே டெடிக்கேஷனே இல்லாமல் போகுது அப்படிங்கிறது தான் வுட்ஸ் டிஸ்பேட்சோடைய கிரிட்டிக்ஸாக இருந்துச்சு. ஓகே, ஸோ ஃபாலோயிங் த 1854 Wood's Dispatch, several measures were introduced by the British. So hereafter education department of the government were set up to extend control over all matters regarding education. So education matters. So departments of education were to be set up in Bengal, Madras, Bombay, Punjab and northwestern provinces. So they were to supervise education and grant financial aid to educational institutions in the province. So the education departments of education were to be set up. Okay, and steps were taken to establish a system of university education. So அங்கே லண்டனில் இருக்க மாதிரி யூனிவர்சிட்டி எஜுகேஷன் அந்த மெத்தடு கொண்டு வரணும் அப்படிங்கிறதுல அவங்க எய்மாக இருந்தாங்க. ஸோ யூனிவர்சிட்டிஸ் டு பி செட் அப் இன் ஈச் ஆஃப் த பிரசிடென்சி டவுன்ஸ் ஆஃப் கல்கட்டா. Now also we can hear Madras University, right? Bombay University, Calcutta universities are there on the model of London University. Okay, so in 1857 universities were to be set up in Calcutta, Bombay and Madras on the model of London University, as well as departments of education were to be set up in Bengal, Madras, Bombay, Punjab and northwestern provinces. And also many attempts were made to bring about changes within the system of school education. So many recommendations had been given in that Wood's Dispatch, so that many changes had been brought under this educational department. You know, children, Woods Dispatch only recommended the teacher training institutions and to establish the teacher training institutions, and also it supported female education and professional education, and also it provided for spreading education from primary to university level. So it led to the opening of many schools and colleges. So we can see the existing education system and how it evolved in last 200 years. Okay, now we are going to see Sarambur College. Sarambur College on the banks of the river Hooghly near Calcutta. It was established by William Carey. Actually, he was a Scottish missionary who helped establish the Sarambur mission. Okay. Now we are going to see about the local schools. You know, children, in pre-British period, in traditional system of education was prevalent here. So when the British came to India, traditional system of education was prevalent here. There were pathshalas and madrasas. Okay, so here in religious education was imparted. Actually, there was no effort to upgrade the courses, and also little awareness of the advancements in knowledge taking place in other parts of the world. Okay, so traditional system of education India la enna irundhathu, paadasalas and madrasas, anga vandu religious education irundhathu. Okay, now we are going to see about the report of William Adam. See, children, now we are going to see the report of William Adam. See, children, in the year 1830s, William Adam, a Scottish missionary, toured the districts of Bengal and Bihar. Actually, the British asked William Adam to submit the report on the progress of education in vernacular schools. See, already I have told you what do you mean by vernacular? Actually, it refers as a local dialect or local language. Okay, so Adam found that there were over 1 lakh pathshalas in Bengal and Bihar. Okay, in fact, these were small institutions with no more than 20 students each. So there are only 20 students in that institutions, but the total number of children being taught in these pathshalas was considerable, over 20 lakh. So total number of students considerably how much? 20 lakh. So these institutions were set up by wealthy people or the local community. At times they were started by a teacher, guru. See, children, அந்த institution அங்கங்க இருக்கிற அந்த பாடசாலாஸ் மദ്ரசாஸ் இதெல்லாம் யாரால ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணாங்கன்னா, அந்த ஏரியாவில் இருக்கிற நல்ல வெல்தி பீப்புள், நல்ல ரிச் பீப்புள் அண்ட் ரிச் கம்யூனிட்டி, இந்த லோக்கல் கம்யூனிட்டி, இவங்கெல்லாம் தான் அந்த குருகுலாவை ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. ஸோ த சிஸ்டம் ஆஃப் எஜுகேஷன் வாஸ் flexible. You can see pathshalas at that time, there were no fixed fees and no printed books, no separate school building like here at present how we are having. But those time there were no separate school building, no benches, no classrooms, no chairs, even no blackboards. Okay, so no system of separate classes. In fact, no roll call, means roll call registers, attendance, no annual examinations, right? So and even no regular timetable. So in some places classes were held under a banyan tree. In other places in the corner of a village, shop or temple, or at the guru's home itself. So சில இடங்களில் அந்த வில்லேஜோடைய ஒரு டெம்பிள்லேயாகட்டும், ஷாப்லேயாகட்டும், இல்லை சில நேரங்கள்லேயே குருவோடைய வீட்லேயுமே இந்த பாடசாலாஸ், இந்த ஸ்கூல் நடந்துட்டு இருந்துச்சு. Actually, fee depended on the income of parents. The rich had to pay more than the poor. Teaching was oral. Here, how was the teaching? Teaching was oral in pathshalas, and the guru decided what to teach. Okay. See, in accordance with the needs of the students. Students were not separated out into different classes. All of them sat together in one place. The guru interacted separately with groups of children with different levels of learning. So எல்லாரும் ஒன்று போல் உட்காந்துருந்தாலும் அந்த குரு வந்து இன்ட்ராக்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க ப்ரைவேட்டாக, எந்தெந்த ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்கு என்ன வேணுங்கிறத பார்த்துப்பாங்க. ஸோ ஆடம் டிஸ்கவர்டு, ஸோ பாடசாலாஸ் எப்படி நடந்தது, பாடசாலாஸில் எப்படி நோ ஃபிக்ஸ்டு டைம் டேபிள்லேருந்து ஃபிக்ஸ்டு ஃபீஸ், நோ ஓரல், சி தேர் வாஸ் ஒன்லி ஓரல் கிளாஸ், ரைட், no classrooms, benches, blackboards, even attendance register, right? But William Adam discovered that this flexible system was suited to local needs. So classes were not held during harvest time when rural children often worked in the fields. Yes, in the rural peasants family, who are all coming from peasants family, they used to help to their parents during harvesting time. So that time there was no classes. So that in this padasala, in this traditional education system, peasants family, the children of peasants family also can come and study, right? Now we are going to see what are the measures undertaken by the company to improve the system of vernacular education. So there were no rules and regulations in Padasala, so the company decided to improve the entire system. It took several measures. What are they? It appointed a number of government pandits, each in charge of looking after 4 to 5 schools. ஸோ லைக் நமக்கு டிஇஓ இருப்பாங்கள்ல, இன்ஸ்பெக்ஷன் வந்தாங்கன்னா 4-5 ஸ்கூல்ஸ் இன்ஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணுற மாதிரி ஈச் பண்டிட் இன்ஸ்பெக்டட் நியர்லி 4 or 5 schools. Okay, so 4 or 5 schools came under the control of each pandit. Then the task of the pandit was to visit the padshalas and try to improve the standard of teaching. Okay, so each guru was asked to submit periodic reports and take classes according to a regular timetable. Then teaching was now to be based on textbooks and learning was to be tested through a system of annual examination. How now we are having according periodic assessments and also annual examination, right? Then students were asked to pay a regular fee, attend regular classes, sit on fixed seats and obey the new rules of discipline. Now children, do you correlate with our existing educational system? Yes, now we are having timetable, periodic assessments and annual examination, permanent fees, permanent classes, like we are sitting in fixed seats. Yes, then we are obeying the new rules of discipline, isn't it? Yes, so these are the measures were undertaken by the company to improve the system of vernacular education. They regulated the padasalas checked by the company. Okay, see the agenda for national education. See children, British officials were not only people thinking about education in India. Even some Indians felt that Western education would help modernize India. So they urged the Britishers to open more schools, colleges and universities and spend more money on education. Okay, see children, Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore were such individuals who against Western education. Okay, so name 2 Indians who reacted against Western education: Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore. Okay, see children, we will see about English education has enslaved us. Who said this statement? Mahatma Gandhi. Yes, okay. Mahatma Gandhi never approved English education because it had created a feeling of inferiority in the minds of millions of Indians. In fact, he wanted an education that could help the people of India restore their sense of dignity and self-respect. அவங்களுடைய செல்ஃப் ரெஸ்பெக்டையும் டிக்னிட்டியும் ரெஸ்டோர் பண்ணுறதா இருக்கணுமோ தவிர அவங்க ஒரு இன்ஃபீரியராக ஃபீல் பண்ணிடக்கூடாதுங்கிறதுல காந்திஜி ரொம்ப ஸ்ட்ராங்காக இருந்தார். தென் டியூரிங் த டைம் ஆஃப் த நேஷ்னல் மூமெண்ட் he urged the students to leave educational institutions to show the British that they could no longer enslave Indians. இது ஒன்றுமே எப்பவுமே ரொம்ப நாளைக்கு ஒரு அடிமையாக வச்சுக்க முடியாது பிரிட்டிஷர்ஸ்க்கு காட்ட சொல்கிறாரு. ஸோ தட் he urged the students to leave educational institutions. Okay. Then Mahatma Gandhi never wanted English to be the medium of teaching. Instead, he thought the students ought to be taught in the medium of Indian languages. அவர் எப்பவுமே மீடியம் ஆஃப் இன்ஸ்ட்ரக்ஷனில் இங்கிலீஷை அவர் என்கரேஜ் பண்ணவே இல்லை, வெனாக்குலர் லாங்குவேஜஸில் தான் டீச் பண்ணணுங்கிறதுல ரொம்ப ஸ்ட்ராங்காக இருந்தார். ஸோ எஜுகேஷன் இன் இங்கிலீஷ் crippled the people of India. ஏன்னா இந்த கை கால்லாம் ஹேண்டிகேப்ட் ஆக்கிறது அப்படிங்கிறான்னு சொல்லுவாள்ல, அது மாதிரி. இட் டிஸ்டன்ஸ் தம் ஃப்ரம் தேர் ஓன் சரௌண்டிங்ஸ். அங்கே அவங்களுடைய சரௌண்டிங்ஸ்லேருந்தே அவங்கள வந்து ஒரு தூரமாக இருக்க வைக்கிது. அண்ட் அவங்கள வந்து ஒரு 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 ஃபாரினர் மாதிரி அவங்கள ஃபீல் பண்ண வைக்கிது. தென் he felt that English education ought to not flourish in India anymore. Then he urged that education ought to develop a person's mind and soul. It should be develop a person's mind and soul. Simply learning to read and write did not matter at all. ஸோ வெறுமனா படிக்கிறது எழுதுறது மட்டுமே இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் கிடையாது. People had to learn a craft and know how different things operated. ஸோ கிராஃப்ட்டுக்கும் இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் கொடுத்து கற்றுக்கணும், டிஃப்ரெண்ட் திங்ஸ் ஆப்ரேட் பண்ண கற்றுக்கணும். திஸ் would definitely develop their mind and their capacity to understand. So Gandhiji insisted this kind of education should be there. Okay. Now we are going to see about Tagore's Abode of Peace. See children, many of you may have heard of Shantiniketan, right? Do you know why it was established and by whom? Yes, Rabindranath Tagore started the institution Shantiniketan in the year 1901. So in which year Shantiniketan was established by Rabindranath Tagore? In the year 1901. Okay. Actually, as a child, Tagore hated going to school. So he found it suffocating and oppressive. In fact, he wanted to establish a school where the children were happy and were free to explore their thoughts and desires without feeling any suppression. See, அவர் நினச்சார் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஸ்கூல் எஸ்டாப்ளிஷ் பண்ணணும், அங்கே அந்தந்த குழந்தைங்க என்ன நினைக்குதோ அதை எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர் பண்ணணும், அவங்களோட ஆசை என்னவோ அதை அவங்க வந்து எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர் பண்ணுறணும், அவங்களுடைய ஆசைகளை அடக்கவே கூடாது, அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஸ்கூலை எஸ்டாப்ளிஷ் பண்ணணும்னு நினச்சார். He advocated for giving children and natural surroundings where they would be able to cultivate their natural creativity. நேச்சுரல் சரௌண்டிங்ஸில் தான் டீச் பண்ணணும், அப்போ தான் அந்த குழந்தைங்களுடைய க்ரியேட்டிவிட்டி, நேச்சுரல் க்ரியேட்டிவிட்டியை இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ண முடியும், அப்படின்னு கல்டிவேட் பண்ணிக்க முடியும்னு நினச்சார். ஸோ கீப்பிங் த above ideals in mind, Rabindranath Tagore established Shantiniketan in the year 1901. So he regarded it as an abode of peace. நிறைய பீஸ் அங்கே இருக்குது, abode of snow மாதிரி abode of peace. Okay, அமைதி நிறைஞ்ச இடம். He set up his school 100 kilometers away from Calcutta in a rural setting in order to provide children a very peaceful environment. So they could develop their imagination and creativity. So it was necessary to help them develop their curiosity by providing them good teachers who could understand them. எப்படி அவங்களுக்கு க்யூரியாசிட்டி டெவலப் பண்ணிக்க முடியுமோ, ஒரு குட் டீச்சர்ஸ், அவங்கள அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணுற ஒரு குட் டீச்சர்ஸ் இருக்கிறப்போ அவங்களுடைய க்யூரியாசிட்டி டெவலப் பண்ணிக்க முடியும். ஸோ In many senses, Tagore and Mahatma Gandhi thought about education in similar ways. There were, however, differences too. What are the differences? Gandhiji was highly critical of Western civilization and its worship of machines and technology. But Tagore wanted to combine elements of modern Western civilization with what he saw as the best within Indian tradition. ஸோ இந்தியன் ட்ரெடிஷனையும் அதுக்குள்ளே இன்கார்பரேட் பண்ணுற மாதிரி அட் த சேம் டைம் வெஸ்டர்ன் சிவிலைசேஷனையும் கம்பைன் பண்ணுற மாதிரியான ஒரு சிஸ்டமாக அவர் என்கரேஜ் பண்ணார். ஹீ எம்ஃபசைஸ் த நீட் டு டீச் சயின்ஸ் அண்ட் டெக்னாலஜி அட் சாந்திநிகேதன் along with art, music and dance. So by establishing an institution like Shantiniketan, Rabindranath Tagore did a great job in the field of education. Okay. So, what do you mean by Tagore's abode of peace? Tagore's Shantiniketan was established in a rural setting. Yes, 100 kilometers away from Calcutta. Isn't it? Yes. So, he saw it, Rabindranath Tagore saw it as an abode of peace. Right? See children, Shantiniketan were living in harmony with nature. So, children could cultivate the natural creativity. Yes? Okay children, we have come to the end of this chapter. I hope you all understood this chapter clearly. Thank you.